We always thought that it was most important to be a songwriter, you know, to write songs, and especially writing a song that's going to be there for the ages.
It's hard to overlook Bon Jovi when it comes to big-haired rockers who've stood the test of time.
You know, when you start as a musician, you don't really look forward. I can't see the future, and we never have. We just say, let's just play and you play today. You know, if we're healthy and we're out there, you do it.
It's fun.
That's really, it's about it.
I think the great thing that this band has is the outlets that we have. Richie makes solo records, Tico does his artwork, I make movies, David's writing a Broadway play, and then we come back here. Now that gives us 4 other outlets to bring creativity home to this.
Since the dawn of Hair Mousse, the New Jersey-based band has been producing hits and selling millions of albums.
I think the reason that we're still around is that, you know, our audience grows with us. So, and we're writing about them, essentially. I mean, that's, as a songwriter, you know, I think the essence of songwriting is communication.
Their ability to bridge the gap between heavy metal and pop is credited to their style and ease. At the age of 13, Jon Bon Jovi began playing live music with his first band, Raise, playing piano and guitar. Jon met David Bryan at the age of 16 and formed a band called Atlantic City Expressway. Jon played in the band Jon Bon Jovi and the Wild Ones at the Fast Lane and opened for local acts while still in his teens.
I'm from New Jersey, you know, and that's a trick question. I don't want to get into that.
Jon recorded his first single, Runaway, in his cousin's studio, accompanied by studio musicians. A local radio station played the song on a compilation tape. After his time in school had ended, and he was working part-time at a woman's shoe store, Jon went to work for his cousin Tony Bon Jovi at Power Station Studios, a Manhattan recording facility. Despite sending several demos, including one produced by Billy Squier, to record companies, Jon failed to gain any traction. He recorded lead vocals on R2-D2 We Wish You a Merry Christmas for his cousin's Christmas in the Stars album. Jon visited the radio station WAPP 103.5 FM, The Apple, in New York, to write and sing the station's jingles. Upon talking with DJ Chip Hobart and WAPP's promotion director, John Lastman, Jon suggested that Runaway be included on the compilation album of local talents. Despite Jon's reluctance, he eventually gave them the song, which he re-recorded after an early recording with local musicians he called the All-Star Review. Guitarist Tim Pierce, keyboardist Roy Bittan, drummer Frankie LaRocca, and bassist Hugh McDonald. As the song began to receive airplay in the New York area, other stations in major markets picked it up. Jon called David Bryan, who in turn called bassist Alec Johnsuch and drummer Tico Torres, who were both formerly members of Phantom's Opera. Jon's friend and neighbor, Dave the Snake Sabo, was tapped to play lead guitar for a short tour supporting Runaway, although he never joined the group. They agreed that whoever made it first would help the other. Sabo went on to form the group Skid Row. Jon saw and was impressed with hometown guitarist Richie Sambora, who was referred to Jon by fellow bassist Alec Johnsuch and drummer Tico Torres. The musician had toured with Joe Cocker, played with a group called Mercy, and auditioned for Kiss, as well as playing on the album Lessons. He played bass for Message, a band featuring Alec Johnsuch. Torres was also an experienced musician, recording and performing live with Phantom's Opera, the Marvelettes, and Chuck Berry. He appeared on 26 records and had recently recorded with Frankie and the Knockouts, a Jersey band with hit singles during the early 1980s. Bryan quit the band he and Jon had formed so that he could study medicine. When he was in college, he decided he wanted to pursue music full-time and applied to Juilliard School, a New York music school. Jon called his friend and informed him that he was putting together a band and that a record deal seemed likely. So Bryan gave up his studies. Having played showcases and opened for local acts, the band caught the attention of Derek Schulman, who signed them to Mercury Records. John wanted a name for the band, so Pamela Maher, a friend of Richard Fisher and an employee of Doc McGee, suggested Bon Jovi, following the example of Van Halen and other well-known two-word bands. Johnny Electric was discarded in favor of this name. Pamela's suggestion of the name was not well received, but 2 years later they hit the top of the charts under that name. Their first hit single, Runaway, was recorded on the band's debut album, Bon Jovi, with the help of their manager, Don McGee. The album reached number 43 on the Billboard 200 album chart. Soon the group was opening for Scorpions in America and Kiss in Europe. Bon Jovi's second album, 7,800 Degrees Fahrenheit, featured 3 singles: Only Lonely, In and Out of Love, and Silent Night. The Recording Industry Association of America certified the album gold after it reached number 37 on the Billboard 200. Despite selling poorly, the album allowed Bon Jovi to get out on the road again. The band played in Japan and Europe and toured the U.S. for 6 months supporting Rat. The group changed its approach after 2 moderately successful albums and hired Desmond Child as collaborator and Bruce Fairbairn for production. During the recording of their third album, Bon Jovi spent 6 months in Vancouver, Canada. The band named the album Slippery When Wet after a trip to Vancouver's strip club. The album Slippery When Wet topped the Billboard 200 for 8 weeks. Both You Give Love a Bad Name and Livin' on a Prayer, the first 2 singles from the album, reached number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100.
I ain't fooling around tonight. Are you with me out there? Oh, yeah. I smell trouble in the air in Vegas tonight. And I say, shout to the heart, mean you're to blame, baby. You give love. Here we go.
The band won a People's Choice Award for Favorite Rock Group and an American Music Award for Favorite Pop Rock Band. At the time of the album's release, Bon Jovi supported 38 Special. But by the end of 1986, they'd performed headline shows across America and were well into a 6-month tour. Over 130 shows were headlined by the band on the tour without end. Everything is bigger and it moves twice as fast, said John when asked what this breakthrough meant. You're recognized twice as often. This is bigger. The whole world gets bigger. You have to sell more records, be huger. You get smarter and you understand the business a little more, so it's more responsibility. You understand it now and you want to make sure everything goes right. As a way to prove that Slippery When Wet was not a fluke, Bon Jovi released their 4th album, New Jersey, which peaked at number 1 in the US, Canada, UK, Ireland, New Zealand, and Australia.
I like Bon Jovi. Do you know what I mean? Living on a Prayer. Slippery When Wet is absolutely genius. And he did that one for Young Guns. On a steel horse I ride, wanted. Unbelievable.
On the Billboard Hot 100, the album spawned 5 top singles, giving Bon Jovi the record for the most top 10 singles spawned by a hard rock album. MTV banned Bon Jovi's video for Living in Sin due to its sexual content. After it was re-edited, MTV put it on heavy rotation. A massive world tour continued throughout 1989 and 1990. More than 232 shows were performed in 22 countries, including a sold-out homecoming concert at Giants Stadium in New Jersey. As part of the Moscow Music Peace Festival, the band traveled to the Soviet Union. New Jersey was the first U.S. album legally released in the Soviet Union, and Bon Jovi was the first band officially sanctioned by the Soviet government to perform in the Soviet Union. Going on highly paced world tours and recording Slippery When Wet and New Jersey back-to-back was exhausting. The band had performed 16 months of concert dates by the end of its New Jersey tour. Physically, mentally, and emotionally, the bandmates were exhausted. As a result of the final tour date in Mexico, and with no clear plans for the future, the members of the band simply went home. There were few, if any, goodbyes between the band members. They all retreated to their own projects and showed no interest in making another album.
I burned my guys in the band out. They were exhausted. And I just got this burst of energy at the end of the tour, and when the opportunity came up, I wrote the stuff. It was really a one-off, and it's nothing I planned to do then or plan to do in the future, but should something come up, I would. I had a great time, you know, being a part of this. I wished only that I could have been involved earlier. I got in the project so late. It was almost done when I got involved. I would do it again if the opportunity was right. I think the great thing that this band has is the outlets that we have. Richie makes solo records, Tico does his artwork, I make movies, David's writing a Broadway play, and then we come back here. Now that gives us 4 other outlets to bring creativity home to this.
Jon was disillusioned with the music business and unhappy with the status quo. So he sacked his management, business advisors, and agents, including longtime manager Don McGee. Jon closed ranks and formed Bon Jovi Management himself to take on the management responsibilities. To discuss future plans, the band traveled to the Caribbean island of St. Thomas. By allowing each member to talk about his feelings without interruption, they were able to resolve their differences. Once their issues were resolved, they headed back into the Vancouver Little Mountain Studios with Bob Rock to record their 5th album.
Work on the craft of songwriting, because that is the foundation, and that's what gets to people. You know, you have to be able to write a song that it becomes a soundtrack to people's lives.
The 5th studio album by Bon Jovi, Keep the Faith, marked a new chapter in the band's history and marked a change in its sound and image.
Write your songs, stay true to who you are. Don't chase another fad, fashions. Do what's true to you. And if it's honest, people will find it.
Instead of heavy drums and wild guitar solos, the album introduced a more mature sound of Bon Jovi and contained more serious lyrics. Jon's hair attracted a lot of attention, and he made CNN headlines when he cut his hair. The band played a few dates at the small New Jersey clubs where they began their career to promote Keep the Faith. An MTV Unplugged episode featuring the band was unlike any other. Bon Jovi performed acoustic and electric versions of classic hits, Bon Jovi, and non-Bon Jovi songs, as well as new material from Keep the Faith in a close-up, in-the-round stage setting.
It doesn't make a difference if we make it or not. We got each other, that's a lot for love. We'll give it a shot. Whoa, we're halfway there. Oh, leave it on a prayer. Take my hand, we'll make it, I swear. Whoa, leave it on a prayer.
When we played acoustic and started the Unplugged craze back in the 80s, that was just a situation where we thought that the audience, who were a bunch of our peers, it was going to be difficult to work that crowd, you know? And so we thought, well, let's just break it down to the way it all begins, which is 2 acoustic guitars, barefoot, sitting on the stage. And we did. And the beauty of it is it was the anti-production. It was the anti-big, moment that other artists were doing. And it was the simplicity of the song that resonated.
To promote the album, Bon Jovi toured the world extensively. visiting countries they had never been to before, and headlining stadiums across South America, Europe, Asia, and Australia. The band released their greatest hits album, Crossroad, in 1994. The first single from the album became the band's best-selling single and topped the Billboard Hot 100 for 6 months. A World Music Award was given to Bon Jovi for best-selling rock band.
It's how you did it when you began. You write a song for you, and if people love it, they'll find it. It's really not about how many units, you know? I mean, it really isn't. We get to go out and play to the amounts of people that we're accustomed to, and you write songs that you want to share with people. So then what happens is out of our control, but it's not frustrating.
In the same year, Bon Jovi's bassist, Alec Johnsuch, left the band. The first lineup change since the band began. Hugh McDonald, who played bass on Runaway, unofficially replaced Such. John said regarding the departure of Such, "Of course it hurts, but I learned to accept it and respect it. The fact that I'm a workaholic, studio in, studio out, stage on, stage off, want to be dealing with music day and night, doesn't mean everyone else has to adjust to that pace."
We get stronger because of the bond. You know, it was us against the world when we started out. And then a lot of people joined the band and came along for that ride. And now we seem to have 2 generations of fans for nearly 3 decades. A lot of friends.
During the band's European tour, their 6th studio album, These Days, was released. The song debuted at #1 in the UK and remained there for 4 consecutive weeks. In the same year, the band won the Brit Award for Best International Band and the MTV Europe Music Award for Best Rock Group. The band's These Days tour sold out 3 nights at London's historic Wembley Stadium. In the wake of These Days' tour's overwhelming success, the members of the band separated. However, unlike the period following the New Jersey tour, tainted with uncertainty, this break was a decision made consciously by the group. The members of Bon Jovi agreed to take a 2-year break from the band. Bon Jovi reunited in 1999 to record the song Real Life for the movie Ed TV.
I think that movie people are opening up more and more to music, and it's not the stepchild anymore, you know. And when we did it, I felt that it was just starting to open up, you know. Now, what's it, 4 years later, it's changed quite a bit.
Yeah, and sometimes the movie soundtracks actually sell more than like the movies do theatrical and stuff.
Yeah, they do. It's good to see the 2 melding. Record companies are getting wise to it, and movie companies are getting wise to it. It's about time they got it together.
Yeah, and some of the bigger labels might start, you know, really getting in there with like the Sony and the Warner Brothers.
They are.
You know,
They are.
turning more. Is it bigger possibilities then for you, do you think?
I'm doing more and more music for movies. Yeah, it's fun to do.
Following a nearly 4-year hiatus, during which several of the band members pursued independent projects, Bon Jovi regrouped to begin work on their next studio album. The band's 7th studio album, Crush, was sort of a comeback. He's been happily married to Dorothea Hurley since the beginning of his career. Despite the appearance of his music suggesting a bed-jumping rocker lifestyle. They run a chain of restaurants called JBJ Soul Kitchen, where customers pre-purchase food for homeless people as a way to pay it forward. While the 2 met in high school and started dating in the early 80s, they waited to get married because John's rock and roll career was on the rise, and it likely would have been too complicated to tie the knot at the same time. John married Dorothea, his high school sweetheart, at Graceland Wedding Chapel in 1989. Together, they have 4 children, are a happy family, and John's rock and roll life hasn't torn them apart, which is quite the achievement when compared to the romances of other rock band members who rose to stardom in the 1980s and 1990s.
Look, when you hear that 300,000 people in New York City are going to be coming for a meal at a food bank in the 5 boroughs, this is New York City. This is America. It's 2009. It's unacceptable. And my foundation has been involved in building affordable housing for 5 years now, and we've provided housing to 140 families, as well as veterans home in Philadelphia and a women's shelter over the Christmas holiday season we just built. We're in the process of doing a 50-unit build in Newark. To me, that's the satisfaction, you know, putting a roof over a family's head, helping them with job training and service providing. Then when you see it's compounded in these tough economic times, that people are going hungry, this is the opportunity for us to shine a light on that in America, because people want to help. So they sometimes just don't know how or who.
Sambora was married to actress Heather Locklear, with whom he has a daughter. They were married in 1994 but divorced in 2007 due to irreconcilable differences. In the years following their highly publicized divorce, Locklear struggled with personal issues, but Sambora has continued to support his ex-wife and mother of his daughter. Sambora has a history of high-profile relationships, including Cher, Denise Richards, Nikki Lund, and a recent relationship with fellow guitarist Orianthi. Along with recording as a solo artist after leaving the band, Sambora also released a collaboration with fashion designer Nikki Lund called White Trash Beautiful. In 1983, shortly after Bon Jovi was formed, Torres and his first wife divorced. In 1996, Torres married Czech-born model Eva Herzegovina in front of their closest friends and family, including members of Torres's band, who serenaded the happy couple through their dance with the hit single Always. They divorced 2 years later. In 2001, Torres married his third wife, Maria Alejandra, and they have a son together. Known as the Hitman, Torres has also discovered another talent, painting. He has exhibited his work since 1994. His first exhibition took place at the Ambassador Galleries in New York. A self-taught painter, Torres creates expressive pictures that depict scenes from everyday life and his life with the band. In 1990, Bryan married his high school sweetheart, April McClain, but they divorced in 2004. The couple has 3 children together. He later married Lexi Quas in 2010. He has also collaborated with Joe DiPietro on a number of musicals, including Memphis, for which he won the Tony Award for Best Original Score, The Toxic Avenger, Chasing the Song, and the most recent, Diana.
We always thought that it was most important to be a songwriter, you know, to write songs, and especially writing a song that's going to be there for the ages. You know, you write those kind of songs that generations sing. It's the greatest gift there is.
And in a strange way, I don't think we've achieved our highest moment yet. You know, just to be able to do it at this level is fantastic. And every step along the way, believe me, we thought that was the big time. You know, getting a record deal, to Slippery When Wet, to Keep the Faith, to the resurgence with Crush, you know, to being here today. Every time you do another project, it seems to take you to another level, and I don't think there is any end in sight.
In addition to becoming a symbol of the band's longevity, as they overcame many changes in the mainstream rock scene with great success, their single, It's My Life, was one of the group's most successful releases in a decade, as well as introducing the band to a new, younger fan base.
When you take the CD package home from a retail outlet, if you put it up on your wall, not only will the app work, but we're going to update that living, breathing piece of paper every night throughout the course of the tour. So actually, for me, as a fan, I'd rather have the CD jacket sitting on that wall. I think it makes it that much more engaging for the younger fan who isn't as old as I am, that used to hold that album cover, you know, when that mattered, when the Sticky Fingers album cover, or, you know, the gatefolds and those kinds of things, you know. So it's to re-engage artwork again.
Bon Jovi played 2 sold-out concerts at London's Wembley Stadium before it was demolished. During their tour, the band released an album of live performances from throughout their career entitled One Wild Night Live. Those songs were selected from Bon Jovi's archive of recorded material from their earliest days on the road, right up to their current tour. The band expected a brief vacation before beginning work on the 8th studio album. But the world changed on September 11th, 2001. Both Jon and Sambora recorded America the Beautiful for the NFL, as well as filming public service announcements for the Red Cross. They also participated in the historic benefit concert, America, a tribute to heroes telethon. The band performed at 2 Monmouth County Alliance for Neighbors concerts in Red Bank, New Jersey, 1 month later, to raise money for families living close to the band's hometowns that were affected by the World Trade Center disaster. In addition to performing at Madison Square Garden, Bon Jovi also raised relief funds and paid tribute to those who worked to save lives during the attack. Their 8th studio album, Bounce, was influenced by the terrorist attacks.
So a lot of these stories, I think, were born, and these babies were kind of pushed out of the things that are happening actually in the world, you know. And as you become a grown-up songwriter, I think you're almost, you know, you're going to write about that kind of stuff, and that's what's going to come out. But for us, it's in a very, very human way. It's in a very personal way. How maybe, you know, that couple that's next door to you, how are they feeling about it? Or the people that come to see you in concert. You kind of put yourself in that kind of position, and you kind of be right from a place of the observer.
A duet version of their single, Who Says You Can't Go Home, included on the band's 9th studio album, Have a Nice Day, was recorded with Jennifer Nettles of Sugarland. This version topped the Billboard Hot Country Songs chart, making Bon Jovi the first rock group to reach #1. Following the release of the album, the band went on a worldwide tour. Over 2 million people attended the tour, which was a significant commercial success. The tour ranked 3rd behind the Rolling Stones' A Bigger Bang World Tour and Madonna's Confessions Tour. Bon Jovi was inducted into the UK Music Hall of Fame in 2006, alongside James Brown and Led Zeppelin.
You know what? If you're smart, every day is a memory. There are things, you just got to see them flying by, you know? It's being a songwriter, it's the closest thing to immortality that we're ever going to see.
You know, I've never felt competition. I guess, even as an artist, I think, I've never really felt a competition with anybody else. I think that we're running our own race, interestingly enough. I think it's almost like if you get into that competition race with somebody else, you're not really being yourself. You're kind of drifting into their lane a little bit. You know what I mean? So, I mean, all you can do is really the best you can do. So if you look at, I mean, personally, that's the way I've always looked at it. If you're doing it that way, and then, you know, if somebody jaunts ahead of you in that particular race, well, they do. And then a year later, you're ahead of, you know, it's just, you know, it's about how the songs are affecting people, and that's what's going on. So, you know.
Following the success of their previous singles version with Jennifer Nettles, Bon Jovi's 10th studio album, Lost Highway, combined the rock sound with country music. Bon Jovi performed 10 promotional concerts in the US, Canada, the UK, and Japan as part of their album promotion. The band was the first to perform at the new O2 Arena in London when it opened in 2007.
We opened up this building, which was a big honor. We have a habit of doing that. We just opened up the new Meadowlands Stadium in New Jersey. We sold out 4 nights there, which is great. We closed Wembley, and we've had a habit of doing these kind of things, which is kind of like a statement. But I think it's enjoyable because it becomes folklore, culture, history, things like that. And what we did on the roof today was kind of like the same thing. You know, we like to make statements like that, and I think people remember things like that, so that makes it just kind of cool.
Most bands would just put up posters, maybe take out a few adverts to say they were coming to town. Not Bon Jovi. Kicking off their 12-night residency at the O2 tonight, this was not so much a performance as a statement of intent.
You know, people have always said about Bon Jovi, we'll play anywhere, and if you don't have electricity, don't worry, we'll bring our own. Case in point, the roof of the O2. So we wanted to do something fun, something different, and get a good view from the top.
Well, we spent a month in London just doing the O2 this past summer, with the knowledge that we'd be back, in the summertime this year to go back outdoors. So we had a grand old time staying there for a month and having everybody come to us instead of us having to go to everybody, which is a start of something.
Idea,
yeah. I like that.
A lot less packing.
So I think this summer's tour is going to be fantastic.
Described by Jon as a Bon Jovi album with Nashville influences, the album contained another collaboration, Till We Ain't Strangers Anymore, featuring LeAnn Rimes, and was nominated for the Academy of Country Music Award for Vocal Event of the Year.
I think that we let some of the influences from those other songs in, and I think that's okay, because it's like, if you're looking at a song like Living on a Prayer, it's Tommy and Gina growing up, using those 2 characters that we put in that particular song, how they grew up through the years of making records now for the 30 years that we've been together, and Jon and I have been writing songs together. I think that, for me, it never bothered me that we used another set of characters that almost resembled a bit of them.
In 2009, Phil Griffin's documentary, When We Were Beautiful, premiered at the Tribeca Film Festival, chronicling Bon Jovi's ups and downs over the past 25 years, as well as following the band on a recent tour. The same year, Jon and Sambora were inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame.
I don't think we put any pressure on ourselves in those situations. That'd be the last thing you'd want to do. We were given this wonderful accolade, and we said, okay, let's make it special. Let's invite everybody to a bar the night before and play for a while, just in a party atmosphere. So I hope you're all coming. But then tomorrow is just a means to the way back, west. We're heading back home. So tonight's more of the celebration and the party. Tomorrow is look good for the cameras, hope they don't unplug the monitors, and then, you know, journey on. I don't think you can put that kind of pressure on yourself.
No, it's never a pressure. It's a pleasure to play. It's fun.
After their Nashville-influenced album, the band released their 11th studio album, The Circle, which returned to rock and roll. The Circle tour saw Bon Jovi head out on the road again. In New Jersey, the band made history by performing the first show in the brand new Meadowlands Stadium.
I'm on the road now. We're finishing our residency here at the O2 on Saturday evening. This is probably, we're somewhere in the show number 52 or 53 of our tour at this point. We're looking at probably 150 shows. I have another 100 shows left in 30 countries all over the world. There'll be a new greatest hits package coming out with 5 new songs for Christmas. And we'll be back in Europe for the summer of 2011. I think we have 40 stadiums that are booked right now, and I'm sure that'll grow. So, you know, for me, the music side is pretty busy.
I think that, you know, you have to increasingly, the way the music business is changing on such a quick pace. And, you know, speaking about it from my terms, it's impossible to know the impact of your record. You know, you cannot, it's not by sales anymore. You know what I mean? What is it? How many people hear it? Is it 3 times? Is it 6 times? Is it 12 times? Who knows? There's no way to have that data to actually know how much you're impacting. You know, I think that, you know, doing the interactive thing that we've done with this record and the app, in a way we've tried to trick people into nostalgia to actually get the physical copy of the record, because it's going to change. Every show that we're on the road, there's going to be some new thing that's going to be coming out of that, which I just thought was a brilliant idea. And it wasn't mine, unfortunately, rats. But, you know, I think that's, for me, you know, I'd love having that album cover. I couldn't wait to get it and see what the credits were and who produced it and who played what and what happened here and what happened there. And maybe this will put people into that mode again, you know. But that's our generation, you know, particularly, I think. And maybe one behind us, or hopefully 2 behind us. But now, I mean, you know, speaking about my daughter, who's 15 and a half years old, the whole album experience is almost gone. It's all a playlist of cherry-picking songs that she likes off a specific artist's record. Not that it's wrong or right, it's just the way how the business is now shifted, you know. And, you know, I mean, album, to me, an album is a whole work of art, in a way, for a musician. You know, that's the only way I know how to do it. I have to surround the concept of what I was trying to do, you know. On my last solo album, I made a very specific. I did a whole limited edition run with the whole record on vinyl, obviously.
In early 2012, Jon announced that the band was working on a 12th studio album, and in a live performance, Jon played an acoustic version of one of the songs that would appear on the album. The new concert album by Bon Jovi, called Inside Out, featured content from previous tours. The album was screened at movie theaters, along with a question and answer session with the band members.
We have performed in snow, rain, dire heat.
Every extreme there is.
Bon Jovi has brought rain to deserts. The elements are of no concern here, you know.
It will be glorious no matter what.
Actually, it was a partnership with Interactive from Washington, D.C.
And it was done, I was drawn to it because I think that the internet and everything goes on. You want to pass on knowledge. That's what it's about. Also, if you're a Bon Jovi fan or a Richie Sambora fan, it'll definitely let you into the life of who I am. You can access videos from Bon Jovi and Richie Sambora also, private photos and things like that. So it's quite informative.
By 2013, Sambora departed the band's ongoing tour for unspecified reasons. Sessions guitarist Phil X filled in. Phil X previously replaced Sambora for several 2011 dates. Despite rumors that Sambora had been fired, Phil X stayed on for the remainder of the tour. Both Sambora and Jon later denied the claim.
I have just come from doing my solo album. I was just here in London, right before the end of the year, doing my solo tour. It's interesting because it seems like I haven't stopped, so my chops are up. At the end of the last Bon Jovi tour, 18 months, 52 countries. I took 2 weeks off and I started writing my solo album, Aftermath of the Lowdown, and recorded that. And somewhere in the middle of that, Jon and I started to write. And somewhere I found a place to actually record that record and also do a solo tour, which brought me up to speed right about over here.
Jon told a reporter that Sambora had officially left the band and that the band was nearing the end of writing songs for their next studio album, their first without Sambora.
Smile is what you say. You promise me heaven and put me through hell. Chains of love and hold on me. When passing the prison, you can't break free. Oh, you're not in God. Yeah. Whoa, you know it right. No one can save me. Maybe this time, shut your eye. Where you're to blame. You give love a bad name, bad name. Do not fight anyway your game. You give love a bad name, bad name. You give love a bad name.
Bon Jovi released twin lead singles for the compilation album Burning Bridges in 2015. According to Jon, the album served as a fan record to tie in with an accompanying international tour. Bon Jovi's consultant said the band plans to release a new studio album and go on tour in 2016. Hugh McDonald and Phil X were also promoted to full-time band members as a result of the album's lead single, This House Is Not For Sale, featuring a music video.
No time for looking back. The wolf is at the door. This heart, this soul, this house is not for sale. I stand each stone and I hammer each nail. This house is not for sale. When memories live and my dreams don't fail. This house is not for sale. Cut it off. I cut it off.
The studio albums of Bon Jovi, spanning their 32-year career, have been remastered for vinyl release by Island Records and Universal Music Enterprises.
When you start as a musician, you don't really look forward. I can't see in the future, and we never have. You just say, let's just play, and you play today. If we're healthy and we're out there, you do it.
It's fun.
That's really.
The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame announced in 2017 that Bon Jovi would be inducted in 2018, after winning the final ballot with over 1.1 million votes. At the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony, Jon invited Sambora and Such to appear with the band.
It's pretty great, it goes to show you that stick around long enough, and I just feel great. We work very hard. We realize that songs are really what it's all about, and for us, it's that simple. It's just writing songs that are now part of the patchwork of American pop culture.
I think the reason that we're still around is that, our audience grows with us. So, and we're writing about them, essentially. That's, as a songwriter, I think the essence of songwriting is communication. you're trying to communicate or you're trying to reach out and find some common ground with who's listening to the song. And if they get it, then it becomes the fabric and the soundtrack to their lives, which for me, many songs and many artists become the soundtrack of my life. And today it still continues. It never stops, hopefully. You know, if you're a music lover and an avid music listener, you're always going to get hit in the heart by someone that says, man, I feel like that, or that feels like me, you know, or that kind of thing. So when a songwriter and an artist be able to hit that kind of plateau, it's a fantastic thing. It's a privilege, really.
In 2019, Jon announced on social media that the band planned to begin recording its 15th studio album. However, it was postponed, along with many other artist projects, because of the COVID-19 outbreak. A tour is scheduled for April 2022. It's hard to imagine a world without Jon Bon Jovi's music. He formed his band over 40 years ago and quickly took the world by storm.
Nearly 3 decades, it's 2 generations of fans. It's these 100+ millions of albums sold. It's beyond our wildest dreams, but if it's a dream, don't wake me. You know, it's very, very grateful.
One of the most successful American rock bands of all time, the band sold more than 100 million records worldwide.
You know, if you didn't really have the gratitude for that situation, you know, you get to do what you love to do for a living and have people receive you with all that love.
You know, when you start as a musician, you don't really look forward. I can't see in the future, and we never have. You just say, let's just play and play today. You know, if we're healthy and we're out there, you do it.
It's fun.
That's really what's about it.